I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, March the 15th, brought to you in part by Beaver County Stockyards Sale Barn in Beaver, Oklahoma. That's right there on the east side of the Oklahoma Panhandle, no man's land right there. They've got a good sale lined up for Tuesday, including about 3,500 or so feeder cattle, and going to have at least 4 loads of fancy northern quality 8-weight feeders there. They'll have those sorted up into loads, and they've also going to have a lot of hard stocker cattle, lightweight hard stocker cattle. Some of them with a little bit of age to them, really kind of come on type cattle if you got some grass to go to, or hopefully we'll have some within the next month or 6 weeks here. But you guys want to watch that sale, you can go on to dvauction.com. You can view and bid that sale. If you want to bid that sale, call them beforehand and make sure you're approved and registered there. But get on there and pay attention to Beaver County Stockyards. You're doing big things there in a small community. Kind of out of sorts on Monday with you guys, but I was down at Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Come down here to show a pig with my youngest daughter, and it was a beating. And all of us that traveled down here together this time, we just trotted our hogs right on the truck, and all of those hogs end up going to slaughter, of course. Even the best ones that eventually will win the show, but we had no luck at all. And if we'd have just known, you know, the trucks that they were loading them onto for slaughter were going to South Dakota, we could have just loaded them on those South Dakota trucks whenever they come down through the Texas Panhandle. We wouldn't have had to drove 650 miles down here and spent all the money on high-dollar hotel rooms and the like and everything. But tell you what, we're not the only ones. You know, the classes that we were in, you know, it'd be 60, 65 head of hogs, and in 10 of them you actually get something back for. 10 of them place and make the sale. And of course, you know, the grands and reserves and the breed champions will bring good money, but the rest of them not so much, and everybody kind of down in the dumps. And I'll echo my youngest daughter's comment whenever we finally got done. She said, "This pig season sucked," and it did suck. But being down here, it's just kind of weird to watch all these people, and all of us are the same. We want to do something positive with our kids, and loosely, and I intensify loosely, you know, tied to agriculture. But my gosh, the money that people spend and have. I don't have one of them, but the number of $40, $50, $60, $70,000 aluminum show trailers, I mean, they're just everywhere. Thousands and thousands of them, and a $70,000 to $90,000 pickup pulling every one of them. And people got plenty of money to spend on whatever they want. And you know, you wouldn't think that we were suffering inflation. Of course, everything's high. Everything's higher than it was last time we was here, but everybody's still buying it, and it's just that we've kind of got used to that. But it's an impressive show, and you know, it's the biggest in the world, I guess, for its kind. Very impressive. The quality of stock's very impressive. Steers too. The steers were coming in on Monday, and very impressive quality on the steers. Of course, nothing tied anything to a commercial or anything that's real. I mean, I wouldn't want to eat a steak out of any of them, but pretty impressive quality. And the entertainment, went to the rodeo on Monday night. It was fantastic, and they usually always have a really good entertainer there, but the one we saw was a counterfeit named Sam Hunt, and we couldn't get out of there quick enough. So it wasn't anything that resembled quality country music, and I like both kinds, country and western, but that was neither of those for sure. But you know, it's kind of like what we're seeing in the markets, but the new normal. And you know, everything's high, and I mean, it's just gone up skyrocket in the last 2.5 weeks or so. But you know, you talk to guys that had traveled a long ways to come down here. What'd you have to pay for diesel? Well, didn't have to pay over $5. You know, $4.99 was the most, and everybody was kind of accepting that, and the new normal in the cattle business after the last 2.5 weeks or so is we've kind of become callous to it, to the Ukrainian war that Russia's invaded on them, and we're just pretty callous to what we see on TV and what's going on, and we're starting to get callous to its effects on the market. The board's been up the last two sessions, Friday and Monday, pretty big as far as your cattle futures. Hedging pressure has slacked off at the lower levels because guys knew that we were coming off of those impressive markets that we had over the last several months, and they got in there and hedged, which is what caused the market to rapidly come down so much. But now it's kind of come down to a lull there, and now going back up the other way because we're just growing tired of the knee-jerk reactions. And we're kind of coming back a little bit to fundamentals, which I'm glad to see. You guys know I'm a fundamental guy. I don't understand the squiggly lines on the graphs or why those traders and those funds do the things that they do, just like they don't understand the fundamentals. But basically it's going to cost more to feed cattle because our grains have gone up so much, because Ukraine is a place that has fuel, fertilizer, and grows a significant amount of grain over there. So all that's gone up. Well, it's going to cost more to feed cattle. Well, why would cattle go lower if it's going to cost more to feed them? Yeah, it's going to have an initial effect on your feeder cattle because it's going to cost, but people are still going to feed them. What else are you going to do with them? We can't just turn them out in a bar ditch. People are still going to feed cattle, and we know that we have way less cattle to feed than what we've had for quite some time. So, eventually, once we get tired of the knee-jerk reaction, it's going to start coming back the other way. And people are still going to feed cattle, but they will likely take them to lighter and more efficient weights whenever they sell them or harvest them. It's not efficient to feed cattle to 1,700 pounds. It is efficient to feed them, from 900 to maybe 13.5 or 14. Well, we're going to harvest cattle at lighter weights. That's going to cause less tonnage on the market, and eventually your markets are going to go up. That's why people always say high corn brings about high cattle. That's likely going to happen if we don't see a big change in here. And it's just like on your grains. Farmers are still going to plant corn and beans. And you think, well, how are they going to afford to do it? What else are they going to do with that ground? That's what they know how to do. That's what they do. Yes, it's going to cost, and it has cost a tremendous amount of money to fertilize that ground and get it prepared. It's going to cost more to plow it and everything because of the fuels that they're using, and likely some guys are cutting back on the fertilizer or the quality of fertilizer that they're putting down. That's going to bring about lower yields. Yes, we see that and we understand that, and the grains have gone higher. But over the last several weeks here, your grains have been competing each other for acres because we haven't got to planting yet, but we're sneaking up on it pretty fast here. So the grains have been competing for acres. Well, once we start planting, or guys have their plans made to plant, well, then it's going to moderate some back down because it's gotten too high. So we're just getting calloused, and we're tired of the knee-jerk reactions, and it's amazing what we can get used to here. But let's talk about your board to start off the week. April live cattle futures up 302. That's a significant gain, and about as much up as it ever went down on that front month anyway. But at 140.32. June live cattle up 275 at 135.70. Your back months, your live cattle are up $1.15 to up 160, so good gains all the way through. March feeder cattle up 267 at 155.95. April up 442 at 162.40. Your back months on your feeder cattle futures up 207 to up 372. And it's mostly due to your corn being down big on Monday. Corn was down 36.25 cents at 728.25. Still astronomically high at 728.25, and everybody working with a plus basis there. But it's not as high as it was on Friday. So like I said, it's amazing what we can get used to. Soybeans were down 3.5 cents at 16.87.25. Kansas City hard red winter wheat, your May contract, up 10.75 because they do grow a lot of hard red or winter type wheat in the Ukraine, so that's going to stay high. But $11 a bushel, well, it's not the 12.5 that was middle of last week. But your weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region, 70,900 head. You think, well, that's quite a bit, and the market was a lot lower. And you say, anytime you have more trade, it's usually your market higher. Yeah, but we had fear last week, early to midweek. We had fears. Everything was going up just astronomically, so fast and progressively more that guys were scared and they sold cattle. So after these fears kind of passed by, and I think they kind of have, like I said, we're getting used to things, we're getting calloused. Well, they're going to hold out now because we didn't have any trade on Friday and we didn't have any trade at Monday. See, last Monday when all the fears were going, we had people already pulling the plug $2 or $3 lower. Didn't happen this Monday. They're going to ask for more money, and they're going to hold out because they know that even though we've got some bad deals and they're even threatening nuclear war and all that kind of stuff, the world hasn't come to an end yet. But 70,900 head negotiated in your 5-area compared to 60,300 the previous week and 82,000 the same week a year ago. But live sales, steers and heifers last week, 136 to 140. That's $2 to $4 lower, but it wasn't that bad as it sounded. 136 to 140. There was only about 230 some head at 136, and there was 6,000 head at 140. So you have to look at your weighted average on live steers. 138.30. That was down about $2.30 compared to the previous week's weighted average. Your dress trade on steers and heifers last week ranged from 218 to 222. Now it was tough, but there was a lighter movement on a dress basis because guys just didn't want to take it because they were taking so much off. There was a significant amount at 218 and a significant amount at 222, but most of them around 220 there. Your weighted average on dress steers 220.11, and that was down $4.40 dress basis. Nationwide didn't have a lot more on the outskirts. 83,300 head negotiated nationwide. About 20,000 of those, or 24%, were for the 15 to 30 day delivery, which is a little less than typical. So not setting us up too bad because they took advantage of us this last week. Likely we're going to have steady to slightly higher market this week unless the board crashes or something else happens with this war on the Ukraine. But 83,300 negotiated nationwide, negotiated grid 32,700, and formula trades 257,800 head. Wonder why we don't have any leverage. But most of your feedlots have their corn bought that they need, for the coming enterprises that they're taking in for feeder cattle. Most of your farmers have their fertilizer bought and have decided what they're going to do there. And we've gotten pretty used to things, and it only took us about 2 weeks to get used to it, and now we're here. Things are likely to kind of settle in a little bit, and we're going to get a significant portion of our market back. Box beef cutout values, they look like they may have found a bottom. They were searching for it last week, but starting off this week a little bit higher. Choice cuts up 80 cents at 255.51. Selects up 83 at 249.94. But Monday's slaughter was estimated at 125,000. We had great slaughter last week all the way up until Friday, and then we had two major plants not killing on Friday due to weather and cooler cleaning and things like that, but ended up being a disappointment. But you know, that's just going to happen sometimes. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index, brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon. Your real-time index 7-day moving average on an 8-weight cash steer, 152.44 at the end of trading on Monday. That was up 65 cents, and I told you guys that I thought your big Monday sales would be higher, and they were. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 8,700 head. Feeders there were steady to $3 higher. Calves were unevenly steady. Stick out deal that I saw out of Oklahoma City was with National Commission Company there. They sold 159 head of 664 pound steers in Oklahoma City at $170 on Monday. Pretty impressive. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 5,600 head there. Pretty good run for them. Feeders were steady to $2 higher, so similar to Oak City. And lightweight calves, little stalker calves, $4 to $10 higher, so they gained back most of everything that they had lost. Stick out sale in Joplin was 58 head of 846 pound steers at 156 and a quarter, and you think, well, they were bringing 160, yeah, but that was 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago. They haven't been bringing 160 the last week or two. Just maybe one stick out deal, maybe in the best place in Nebraska or South Dakota, but in Joplin, you know, that's a pretty impressive quote there, nearly weighing 8.5, a load of them at 156 and a quarter. Pretty darn good. How about Russell Livestock in Russell, Iowa? 3,000 head plus there on their feeder run. And they didn't have a sale last week, so compared to 2 weeks ago, they were sharply lower, and that's just the way things were because they didn't get the brunt of the losses last week like all the other sale barns did. A couple of stick out deals on Monday. Aberdeen livestock sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota, 64 head, 897 pound steers or 900 pounders at 152 and a quarter. That's pretty salty. That's the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday. Indeed, come out of Russell, Iowa at Russell Livestock. It's your Rowgrow top quote for the day. 78 steers, weighed 702 pounds at 182 and a quarter. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday. Friday.